Hey guys, it's Asmar Wedge. Check me out, YouTube, Defense First. Trying to make a difference, putting some truth out here. The way the world is turning today, we need some sincerity. Forget the money. If the money come, it comes. Sincerity first, defense first. Usually I wouldn't do this fight. I wouldn't even watch this fight, but I need to do more fights. I'm kind of disencouraged to do these fights because anytime I do something like this, I don't get any credit for it. They make sure they shut me down for any monetization. This just isn't fair. Some people can do better than others by using certain things, but everybody can't use the same material. That's not right. But I'm gonna go through this round by round with everybody with my expertise. Okay, now these guys are pretty evenly matched as far as skill wise. Athleticism, pretty close too, but um, um, normally I would give the edge to Alexander because he is just a tad bit. Alexander is just a tad bit faster, So I'll say he's a little more athletic, and speed is power, So if you can't hit me, you can't hurt me, and normally um, Ortiz shouldn't be able to hit this guy, but you know this is another old fight. This is another uh, promoter's um, special, where he set up fights just to get the money rolling, get the ball rolling, and it looked like this one of them fights. And it's starting off slow in the first round. They both filling each other out. I don't see any real good jabs going on. That's why Ortiz is able to land those overhand lefts, and that could prove to be vital in this fight. Ortiz landing them single shots because that's really Devon's advantage is his quickness to be able to stick and move, but he's not doing that. And a jab always helps to start it off. So if you start off in the first round without a jab, pretty much that's going to be the way of the fight. It's going to be about Victor picking him off throughout the fight, is what it looked like. And when I first saw their face, first thing I look at these fighters when it's a promoter special going on. You got two older fighters and really no big deal if they win or lose because we know that they're over the hill. Whenever I get a fight like this, I see what they look like and see which one of them is dehydrated. And that'll tell me how much time he got ready for this fight. And normally, the one who had less time prepare for the fight is the one projected to lose. I thought Ortiz looked it pretty bad. He was pretty sucked in. But um, Victor looked like he's the one that's trying to land the shots here. Um, Alexander's been pretty quiet and a little bit too much respecting my man Ortiz. Ortiz is doing his thing. Uh, Ortiz is still going forward, and he's not worrying about being paid back because you have to set off shots with your jab. And since Alexander doesn't have a good jab, he's not establishing any offset for that overhand right or for his left hook. He can't. In other words, when someone's coming at you, you got to stop them and then they come back and you counter them. You can't do that without a jab because somebody's stalking you. You got to just swing, and when you swing, he can defend himself and come over that offense and catch you with a counter. So when someone's coming at you, you got to put the jab out there first, make them miss, and then pay them back with a counter. But you can't do that without a jab, once again. Unless you got some really good feints or something in that order. But um, now it looks like Ortiz is taking a little break by not going forward. That could mean good and it could be bad. That could be meaning that, I was right in the beginning that Ortiz is the one looking sucked up and dried out. And he's just showing us that he's going to give up going forward. He's only doing that in the beginning as an act. But once he realized he's not effective by going in, he may start dropping back because he don't want to overtire himself, not being prepared. But as of right now, whether he's going back or forth, it looked like Alexander don't have nothing for him so far. I don't see any great points achieved by either one. And that's why normally I wouldn't even watch a fight like this because, it's only, to me, can be disappointing. I like to see fights with people well prepared. But all right, we're in the third round now. And fortunately, Alexander is starting to establish the jab. If he establishes a jab, then we'll really see what Victor Ortiz is about. If he really has the legs and what's going to happen. Ortiz is still going forward. And he's coming with nice, strong, sharp punches. And Alexander is doing enough to keep him off of him. But he's not doing enough to stop Victor from continue to push him. Okay, now Alexander is trying to do some sharpshooting now. Deter Victor Ortiz, deter him from coming in with his hands down. But, Alexander doing some sharpshooting. That's the best thing I've seen so far. But it's only at a moment. I think Ortiz got popped a few times with a few of them sharp ones. So he stopped going in as fast. Looked like Victor, is coming straight down the middle. He can't move side to side to get in because Alexander's throwing fast hooks. And Ortiz is forced to go up the middle to come in. And he's getting caught a few times. Victor's not being dominant, and that's his only chance to get right on top of Alexander and throw them overhands and all them wild shots. But that's not quite working. And Alexander just touched him to the body with a nice shot. Alexander doesn't have a strong looking style, but he's pretty strong. Can't sleep on him. He just stopped Ortiz in his track a few times, but it was just a moment. Ortiz is still back on the hunt. And Alexander worries me still because he don't have a good jab. You know, he starts it and then stops it, but I guess he don't realize a jab is his front door. Well, otherwise, he letting Victor in his front door. Okay, that's round 4 down. Alexander has the speed advantage, but he's only using it defensively. His speed is only keeping him away from Victor Ortiz. He's not using his uh, speed to get the punches off and hurt Victor, but he's using Victor with his footwork, and he'll pay him back from time to time with his punches, but not enough. You know, I see so many people who don't know how to fight going backwards. You can't just avoid punches going backwards. You have to avoid and land at the same time. You have to constantly set traps and make people pay for them. But a lot of these fighters don't even have that concept. They either going forward and attacking. That's all they know is to attack by going forward. Okay? So, I mean, they're both looking pretty old so far. None of them is really showing any great plan, great scheme. It's like they in there just doing what they do and seeing who can make it around the whole block. It looks like they both being real careful and trying to make it through the whole block. Ortiz is the most putting himself in danger more than these two, but he still has a limit. He still keeps moving back. He still stops punching. You know, he is not consistent in his attack, and Alexander is completely submissive in this fight, and or how can you say that he's not the aggressor? He's the one who's passive. He's very passive in this fight. You know, he's constantly trying to have a way out. And there's really no big need because, you know, if he had any kind of inside game, you know, he would know how to work in the inside. But Devon get in the inside, get hit one time in the body or a overhand, and, you know, you can see that he feel it. He shows that he don't want none of that in the inside. And Ortiz goes in like the strong guy, and then Devon with his quickness cat smacks him, and Ortiz jumps out like he's drunk. You know, this is a crazy matchup. I guess this is just some of their last fights of their career, so this is just like a promoter special. as I call it. Just because of their names and how closely they are related, coming from the same gym I even heard from years back growing up together. So this is a promoter special. Um, Maybe I'll even fast forward this eventually. I don't want y'all to turn from my channel being bored. But can't really commentate much off of this fight because they both pretty much doing the same thing over and over again. I have to continue to say that, Ortiz is putting his front foot forward and going in, but not enough. And when he get hit or, he's quickly deterred. And Alexander is so passive in this fight. He's not punching at all. He punched 10 times around and only lands 3 of those 10. So it's like really um, really just about their name. If they didn't have popular names, this fight would be a normal fight, like not nothing great. It's a Sunday night fight. Saturday night fights, like at the Blue Horizon up in Philly. It's a weekend fight at the Blue. But these guys got names, superstars, fought for millions, and the only good thing I say about this fight and their performance is they're old. They're old news, and they're giving us one last show. You have to reinvent yourself if you want to stay in this game as an elder. And you got to have defense, man. Can't do nothing if you're getting hit. Okay, they mixed it up a little bit. I didn't see Ortiz back down any that time. He's really trying to mix it up there. And Devon is still getting the edge with his speed, but he's not capitalizing on it. He's hitting them and running. My thing, if you're going to be the one who's going back, as people say, he's running. If you're going to be the runner, you got to beat somebody down while you're running. So while they coming in, they getting hit every time. You can knock somebody out going backwards if you that vicious with your style and know what you're doing. Putting those punches in even though you're moving backwards. You only move backwards because the guy you fighting wants to go forward. So you encourage him to come forward while you beating him. But these guys go backwards because they are intimidated by someone's power, or they go backwards because that's all they know how to do. They don't know how to fight forward, and if they go forward, they don't know how to fight backwards. If a good fighter be able to do both of them, but you couldn't take these two fighters right here and tell them to switch roles. If Alexander was to go forward and Ortiz was go backwards, it'd be an unbelievable, boring fight. But right now, you know, we so under the spell of watching these guys and hoping that Alexander gets enough courage to go forward and fight, and Ortiz has enough strength to keep going forward and fight, and then we'll see a explosion. But right now, we're only seeing little pieces of explosion, and then they get themselves out of trouble. Round 5. Let's see if we can fast forward this, man. I'm about to go to sleep. Okay, we're in round 8, and these guys are definitely in shape. You know, they old, they look slow, they look worn out, but at least they are in shape. And I know that because them hands are still coming fast. Ortiz actually trying to get fast as Alexander. It look like he's trying to compete with quickness because thus far Alexander's been getting the best of him because of his speed. So he's trying to change that scenario. Ooh, you see that? They both land a good shot. Ortiz landed a good right hand, and Alexander landed a beautiful right hand. So it was a nice pop, but yeah, I underestimated Ortiz. He looks good. He looks like he's in shape. You know, give him the benefit of the doubt. He's old and a worn out fighter, but he looks good. You know, you can't get in there and do 9 rounds and get hit like that in the ninth round, and you still punching fast, competing. They in shape, man. I apologize. This is not a promoter special. This is a real fight, and you know, I think if Ortiz doesn't knock Alexander out, you know, Alexander making it look like he's the better point maker, but he's really not because you know he's very very low output. So I see they counting them up already. They got Alexander winning by 1 point on most rounds. They got him winning by 4 points as a whole, and that isn't really fair because Ortiz um, is making Alexander land that many punches. If Ortiz was to back up a little bit, or if Ortiz was able to, you know, box from a distance, use his length, long arms, I'm pretty sure that this would be a boring fight because Alexander ain't throwing a lot at all. Ortiz, he's he's throwing punches, trying to make it happen, but he's missing almost everything because of his slowness. He's not young anymore. He don't have that quick reaction, that hand-eye reflex, that uh, he don't have that same reflex that he used to, where he can catch a fly. He can't catch a fly no more. And Alexander don't have that same lightning speed. And so I mean, this is a really crazy fight, man. They just both missing each other 1,000 times. They both landing punches 10 times, and the same strength. They hitting each other with the same punching power, and they wrestling each other trying to get position without moving forward or backward because they both the same strength. Unbelievable. These guys are uh, very comparable to one another. Very, very even fight. No, I don't think we're gonna get no knockout special, but and they're gonna get a fight to Alexander because simply because he if I'm gonna say who's gonna get another fight with somebody else and who would I pick, I would have to say I would rather see Alexander fight somebody else, even though it's very disappointing how he is not active enough. But Ortiz doesn't look half as vicious as he was. He's really time for him to give it up. Would be no more great fights for him. Don't look like it. But Alexander, depending on who he fight, you know, depending on who he fight. But I wouldn't want to watch either one of them again, to tell you the truth. But I'm doing this for my YouTube people. It's defense first, man. It's all about defense first. And these guys lack the defense to be older fighters. If you're going to do it as an older fighter, you got to have that old man style, what I call it. The old man style. You got to have good, calm, composure, and defense. Can't be getting hit. I don't care how good you are offensively. If you're getting hit, you're on a time clock. The alarm clock is going to wake you up. Uh-oh, middle of the ring. Let's get it, boys. Should give us something, man. It's the last round. Show us something. Come on. These guys in shape, man. They not young men, but they in shape. I gotta respect that. Gotta respect that. Mm. Wow. Wow. It came in shape, man. I like that. I think they're old farts, but they came in shape. I could respect that. And don't want to see them fight again. Great night out. Don't want to see them fight again. So who y'all give it to? I think Ortiz had the less defense. So he's the one they're going to want to retire quicker. So I think they're going to give it to Alexander. He was a little bit more busier, a little bit more able, and a little bit more defensive. Good fight.